You wake up when your body is ready. No alarms. No schedules. The air is warm and smells of dry grass and distant rain. The concept of leaving this continent does not even exist. For nearly 300,000 years, this was not a hypothetical. Your species was born here, shaped perfectly by the sun and the soil of the African continent. Today, 8 billion human beings are scattered across every extreme environment on Earth. You live in frozen tundras, dense jungle, and towering concrete megacities. But your body remembers a different time. What if your ancestors never crossed the Red Sea? What if your species never left the mother continent? To understand this alternate reality, you have to look at the world around 70,000 years ago. Your ancestors are living in scattered bands across the African landscape. The global climate is shifting rapidly. A massive drought grips the continent, turning lush regions into arid dust. In the timeline, this intense climate pressure pushes a small, desperate group of your ancestors out of Africa. They cross the narrow Bab el-Mandeb Strait into the Arabian Peninsula. They eventually spread across the entire globe. But in this scenario, that fateful migration never happens. The coastal routes are completely blocked by harsh conditions. The northern desert remains an impassable wall of endless sand. Your ancestors stay put. They dig in. This single change alters the entire biological history of the planet. First, look at what happens outside of Africa. Eurasia is not an empty, lifeless wasteland. It is home to other powerful human species. Neanderthals dominate the cold, dense forests of Europe. Denisovans roam the high, thin-air altitudes of Asia. Homo floresiensis, a tiny species of human nicknamed the Hobbit, lives peacefully on the isolated islands of Indonesia. In the timeline you experience today, your ancestors overwhelmed them all. You competed for the exact same resources. You interbred slightly, leaving ancient traces of their DNA in your blood today. You eventually push them to total extinction, but if you never arrive on their shores, these other humans survive. They continue to evolve entirely without your interference. They adapt even deeper into their specific environments. Neanderthals already possessed beautifully large brains and complex social structures. They might build their own unique civilizations in the ice and snow. The world becomes a multi-species human planet. How would that change your understanding of what it means to be human? Now look closely at your life inside Africa. The continent is unimaginably massive. It is 3 times the size of Europe. It holds endless ecological diversity because your ancestors never leave. They never go through the severe population bottleneck that violently reduced human genetic diversity in the rest of the world. Today, 2 individuals from different tribes in southern Africa have more genetic differences between them than a person from Europe and a person from Asia. In this alternate timeline, that incredible genetic richness only deepens. You are highly resistant to diseases. Your immune system is a biological fortress. You adapt to the deep, humid rainforests of the Congo Basin. You thrive on the cool, windy southern coasts. You build complex societies along the winding, fertile path of the Nile River. Evidence of this early brilliance is already buried deep in the African dirt. Consider the stunning archaeological findings at Pinnacle Point in South Africa. The paleoanthropologist Curtis Marian discovered that your ancestors were harvesting shellfish from the treacherous ocean and using controlled fire to engineer complex stone tools over 160,000 years ago. You were not primitive cavemen struggling in the dark. You were highly advanced engineers of your environment. Or look at Blumbo's cave on the southern coast. Researchers like Christopher Henshelwood found pieces of ochre, a type of natural clay earth pigment, deliberately engraved with complex geometric patterns. These incredible artifacts date back 75,000 years. Your brain is already fully capable of art, mathematics, and complex symbolic language. You do not need the pressure of a harsh European ice age to become intelligent. Your culture deepens beautifully right where you are. Your trade networks expand endlessly across the continent. Instead of spreading incredibly thin across the globe, your population grows dense, rich, and connected within Africa. You might even share the continent with other ancient survivors. Deep in the Rising Star Cave system of South Africa, the paleoanthropologist Lee Berger discovered the remains of Homo naledi. They were a small-brained hominin species that lived alongside your ancestors much later than anyone previously thought. In this timeline, without the pressure to constantly expand outward, you might learn to magically coexist with them. You share the vast savanna. You recognize them as distant, strange cousins rather than direct competitors. The Earth remains wild and varied, so try to recreate a day in this vibrant alternate reality. You live in a thriving, permanent settlement near the Great Rift Valley around 20,000 years ago. The sun rises over the steep, rocky escarpment. The air is already buzzing with the beautiful sounds of trade and lively conversation. You step out of a meticulously woven shelter perfectly designed to catch the cooling morning breeze. You walk into a bustling center of daily activity. Different tribes from across the vast continent are meeting here to share knowledge. They speak hundreds of different, musically complex languages. They bring dark, glassy obsidian from the volcanic north. They bring bright, polished seashells from the southern oceans. You barter using delicate pieces of carved ostrich eggshell. Your diet is incredibly diverse and perfectly nutritious. You eat fibrous roasted tubers, lean antelope meat, and rich, sweet tropical fruits. You are not struggling to survive a brutal winter. You are thriving in the eternal summer of the equator. Your physical body is perfectly adapted to this specific world. You do not suffer from the severe vitamin D deficiencies that plague humans who move to sunless northern climates. Your skin remains deeply pigmented. It acts as a perfect, natural, biological shield against the intense ultraviolet radiation of the equatorial sun. Your sweat glands are highly evolved to keep you incredibly cool while running long distances across the open plains. You are a masterpiece of evolutionary design, living exactly where you were carefully crafted to live. Why would you ever feel the desperate urge to leave? This brings you to a deeply paradoxical twist. By staying in Africa, you might have easily avoided the greatest trap in human history. That devastating trap is the agricultural revolution. For decades, anthropologists like James Sussman and the dedicated field researcher Richard Lee have pointed out a truly shocking truth. The ancient hunter-gatherer lifestyle was not a desperate, miserable struggle for survival. Richard Lee studied the San people of the Kalahari Desert in the 1960s. He found that they only worked about 15 to 20 hours a week to gather all the abundant food they needed. The rest of their time was spent resting, playing, making music, and socializing. Farming brought immense, unimaginable suffering. It brought devastating viral diseases from domesticated livestock. It brought brutal social inequality. It brought catastrophic famine when crops inevitably failed. In a massive, resource-rich continent where the human population remains perfectly balanced with nature, you might never need to invent large-scale, destructive agriculture. You rely completely on advanced, intelligent foraging. You manage the wildland through careful, controlled burns, shaping the landscape to beautifully promote new plant growth. You live in perfect balance with the terrifying megafauna, the giant animals of the ancient world. Massive elephants, armored rhinos, and towering giraffes are not hunted to total extinction. They co-evolve directly alongside you. You deeply understand their ancient migration patterns. You do not arrogantly try to conquer nature. You remain a humble, integral part of it. But without the heavy surplus of agriculture, you do not build enormous, disease-ridden, overcrowded cities. You do not invent violent standing armies to protect massive hordes of grain. You do not develop the heavy, toxic industrial technologies that are currently destroying the planet's atmosphere. By staying home, you literally save the world from total ecological collapse. Does human progress always require the destruction of the natural world? Think about the psychological impact of never leaving this abundant paradise. Your worldview is profoundly, fundamentally different. In the real timeline, migrating humans faced brutal, unforgiving environments. You faced freezing wastelands and endless, barren deserts. This trauma created a deep psychology of fear and scarcity. You learned to obsessively hoard resources. You learned to fear the harshness of the outside, uncontrollable world. But in this beautiful alternate reality, you remain comfortably in the warm cradle of humanity. The earth naturally provides year-round sustenance. Your mythologies and religions do not focus on angry, punishing storm gods demanding endless sacrifice. They focus entirely on the abundant, giving, maternal nature of the living earth. Your social structures remain fiercely egalitarian. The brilliant anthropologist Polly Weisner spent years studying the firelight conversations of the Juhoanzi people. She discovered that intimate nighttime storytelling was absolutely essential for building human empathy and maintaining strict social equality. You spend your peaceful evenings sitting around the glowing fire. You tell complex stories that connect your mind directly to the stars above and the soil below. You do not forcefully build massive stone pyramids to falsely glorify a single king. You build massive, invisible webs of profound human connection. Your technological progress is slow, deliberate, and careful, but your social and emotional progress is incredibly, beautifully advanced. You master the deep complexities of the human mind long before you ever try to foolishly master the atom. Now, look closely at your life today. You sit completely still in a sterile, climate-controlled room. Your spine aches intensely from sitting frozen in a rigid chair for 8 continuous hours a day. Your eyes burn and water from staring endlessly at the artificial blue light of a glass screen. Your anxiety spikes constantly because your primate brain is desperately trying to process a relentless, global stream of abstract digital threats. You are biologically, genetically identical to those ancient ancestors who thrived on the golden African savanna. Your physical body is perfectly designed to walk 12 miles a day across soft, uneven terrain. Your sharp eyes are built to scan a vast, open horizon for hidden predators and fast prey. Your complex mind is evolved to connect deeply with a very small, intimate tribe of about 150 people. This highly specific number is known as Dunbar's limit. It is a strict cognitive boundary discovered by the anthropologist Robin Dunbar, who realized your physical brain absolutely cannot handle more meaningful relationships than that limit allows. You are constantly carrying an ancient, beautifully adapted African brain into a noisy, modern, chaotic world. Every sharp ache in your lower back is a quiet reminder of the open home you tragically left behind. Every terrifying spike of modern anxiety is a biological signal that you are living completely out of your natural context. You are a wild, tropical species desperately trying to survive in a concrete zoo of your own making. Close your eyes and imagine the tall golden grass one last time. Feel the slow, natural rhythm of a life tied completely to the rising and setting of the brilliant sun. You wake up when your body is ready. No alarms, no schedules. If you want to keep exploring the ancient, fascinating memories hidden deep inside your own DNA, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Leave a comment below about what you think the world would look like today if your ancestors never left.